Hello, everybody, and welcome to Part 5 of Dynamics 365 Tech Talk HR Functional Series. Today's topic is Leave and Absence Management. My name is David, and I'll be your moderator today. We're broadcasting this session through Teams live events, and the audio can be heard through your device speakers. This session is being recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation. When you join this event, your name, email address, and/or phone number may be viewable by other session participants in the attendee list. By joining, you're agreeing to this experience. The recording will be available on the TechTalk's Community Dynamics page within 5 business days. If you have questions for the presenters or need support, please use the Q&A panel located on the right side of your screen. Our presenters will be responding to your questions during the event in Q&A and verbally with the remaining time after our presentation. Thank you for your patience during these announcements. Presenting for us today from Microsoft, we have Priyanka Sinha, Senior Architect. Priyanka, over to you.
Hey, thanks, David. And hello, everyone. I welcome you all to this Tech Talk. This is a series of functional tech talks covering in depth the capabilities available in Dynamics 365 human resources. And today we are going to talk about part 5, which is leave and absence management in this series. We have Adeel and Rachel from Fast Track team contributed in this TED Talk and will be supporting in answering the questions in the background. We also have Pooja, Sheila, Angela, and Deuss from product team who will be supporting us in answering the questions. So moving ahead, here is my brief contact information. I am Priyanka Sinha, Fast Track Solution Architect for Dynamics 365. And here you have my email ID, Twitter, and LinkedIn details in case you would like to connect with me afterwards. You can please do that. Regarding the objective, before we begin setting the expectation from this tech talk and what to expect in next 45 minutes, we will be going through the overview of the leave and absence management, process map, key consideration of leave and absence accruals. And this Tech Talk series is not a full detailed demonstration of the application, rather providing insights into capabilities offered and implementation guidance to the project team, along with very handy resources like process catalog and accrual policies. In the agenda, we are going to cover major and important leave absence capabilities. We will review some of the configuration as well as the processes. Finally, do's and don'ts and the checklist to help you to get a kick start with leave and absence implementations. So moving to the first agenda, leave and absence process map. As you know that Dynamics 365 HR helps you in providing great leave benefits to your workers. The leave and absence provides a flexible framework for creating new leave plans. It also provides workflows for managing requests and a self-service page for employees to request time off and other activities. So to get started today, we are going to review the process map for leave and absence. We have broken the map into 4 main groups: security, business processes, configuration, as well as administrative tasks. So coming to security roles, if you see at the top, we have absence manager roles. You have the, if you use this role, you will have the capabilities to review and approve the time off based on the hierarchy. You can view the team member balances and you can also view the absence calendar. There are 2 core security roles like human resources assistant and manager. So these are used to grant access to the main functionality of human resources. You also have the ability to create custom roles based on your business needs, like you can do for any other processes, you can do for leave and absence as well. Coming to business processes, here you see that we have some major processes related to leave and absence management. We have broken these processes in business process, and configuration. So if you see, we have two categories: leave request and leave management, or you can say how the business processes looks like for workers and managers or HR. So as a leave requester, you can submit the request for time off. You can check the status of your leave request. You can check your leave balances, cancel the time off request. You can also view your team calendar as an employee or worker. Also, as a worker, you can submit requests to buy and sell leaves based on the buy and sell leave policies, which is set up by your company. And in order to manage leave, or as a manager, you can view, approve, reject the time of request for your workers. And then you can accrue leave for multiple employees or for an individual for a specific plan or and a date range. Similarly, you can delete the leave and absence accrual for multiple employees or individual employees based on specific plan and date range. As a manager, you can also suspend leave for an employee to stop leave accruals from being processed for selected leave types. Additionally, in order to leave accrual edit, you can review the leave accrual processes and the deletion processes. You do also have option to view team and company calendars as a manager or as an absence manager. Coming to configuration, when we look at the key configuration related to leave and absence, we have the parameters, leave and absence, and HR parameters, which has to configure before we start any process. You need to configure leave and absence plan, leave and absence types. You need to configure absence manager rules. And then you also need to set up the calendars like holiday and closure, non-working time. And then you also need to assign the workers to a particular leave plan. So these are some major configuration. You might need to do some more based on your uses. And then in the last pillar, we have data management, integration, and administration. So coming to data management, there are many data entities that support the various processes and configurations. And the list of entities you see here is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the major ones you can use. Next, we have the integrations. So we have split the integration into three pillars for dual right scenarios, virtual entities, and other integrations. So you would want to consider if this data is needed in the, let's say, Dataverse or any other downstream system. You can use out-of-box dual right templates in F&O, where we have a variety of entities like leave plan, leave request, leave bank transactions. Additionally, you have virtual entities like leave balance, leave type, and request, which can be queried. And you can also add your additional entities based on your need if standard entities doesn't suffice your requirement. Finally, we have the administration component. Again, this is not the exhaustive list, but these are some of the configuration do have a direct impact on leave and absence management. So these need to be set up. Moving to next, here are the major leave and absence tables and the relationship. This is just for your understanding. We are not getting into detail, but you can refer in case you want to understand that how the tables are connected and what is the relationship. Moving to next agenda, we are going to have a look on leave and absence overview. So if you see, this is the process flow. Before you start using the leave and absence, you must need to configure, like you have to configure workflows, leave plans, leave and absence types. And then once you have the leave and absence plans ready, you need to enroll the employees. Once these configurations are done, you will be accruing leave and absence for the employees, and then employees can submit requests for time off. They can view their vacation, leave balances, and they can see the leave requests, so they can do all these activities. And then manager will be reviewing the leave request, approving on or rejecting the leaves based on these scenarios. And then you can also view your team calendar as an employee, as a manager, or you view absence manager calendar as the absence manager. So these are the overall uh, process for leave and absence management. Now, we will talk about some of the important configuration for leave and absence. First, we will understand the leave and absence types and why it is important. So, leave types defines the types of absence that employees can report. This refers to how the absence is listed and coded in the system with respect to information like earning code, workflow. This also defines the leave request and accrual rules uh, rounding off, holiday correction, and yeah, there are some more fields. Leave types also derives the reporting, so you can use reporting based on the leave types. And Volker must specify a leave and absence type when they submit a request for time off. So this is one of the mandatory field which has to be filled in. You can tailor leave types according to needs of your organization. So typically companies will have multiple leave and absence types to account their various leaves taken by employees. For example, you can have paid time off, unpaid leave, paid vacation, sick leave, medical leave, etc. But you can have additional based on your organization need. Here in this screenshot, we have set up a leave and absence type of sick leave, and this is attached to specific earning codes and workflows to make sure that appropriate actions are taken for, let's say, pay and approvals. So in order to create a new leave and absence type, you will have to go to leave and absence module and then setup, and then you will find leave and absence type where you need to create a new type. You need to fill in the values like name, description, fill the values appropriately, and select the correct workflow, considering what is the approval process for that particular leave type. You can create conditional approvals based on leave type, reason code, submitter, or any other field available in this table. For an example, in case of the sick leave, your organization would want to auto approve. So if any worker is taking sick leave, it should not go for any approval and it should be auto approved. So you can configure your workflow in that way. But let's say in case of PTO, it should go to manager, or in some cases, it should go to HR. So you can also have the conditional approver whom it should go in what case. And then we have a category. So you can select non-scheduled or unscheduled. Let's say for sick leave, it could be unscheduled. However, for PTO, it should be scheduled. Regarding earning code, so if applicable, you need to fill in an earning code and it will be linked to your payroll. So you need to mindful for the earning code, what you are going to fill in. And then we have reason code required. You need to choose whether you want to require a reason code. If you would want to, then you will have to add them in the reason code tab. right? And then we have another field called attachment required. So employees will be required to upload an attachment when they submit a new leave request, and they'll have to submit the attachment. Let's say, for an example, a certificate or a proof is required for medical leaves. So when a manager is approving, they'll be checking that what are those attachment or what is the proof. So this has to be defined on leave type. We have unit. So by default, the it comes from the leave type, the parameter based on the legal entity, but you can also change on the leave and absence types. But be mindful that if there is any transaction for that particular leave type, you won't be able to change. And also, if this feature is turned on already, it can't be turned off. So you need to consider these aspects. For the suspension relation, we can create rules that allows us to suspend leaves. For example, assume that if you are on PTO, then you cannot take sick leave immediately before or after. So in this image, we have added PTO as suspension relation. But based on your organization need or requirement, you need to configure the suspension type. In the leave and absence type, you also have the accrual rules. You can set up for particular leave and absence type. So you have option to set up the rounding option. You can select none, up, down, or nearest. So that depends what is your rule or what is the policy in your organization. You do have option of holiday correction. So for holiday correction, when you select this option, the number of holidays that fall on a work day will be used to determine how to accrue time off for that particular leave type. For example, let's say if Christmas Day falls on Monday, system will subtract one day from the leave type when it is processing the accrual. So you will have to configure holidays in working time calendar accordingly. We will learn more about this working time calendar in later slide today. You also can set up the carry forward leave type. When you select this option, any carry forward balances will be transferred to the specified leave type. And the carry forward leave type also needs to be included in the leave and absence plan. So you do have option in the leave and absence plans as well. And then you can define the expiration rules for the particular leave type. When you configure this option, you can choose the unit of days or month and set the duration for the expiration. In this image, we have used, let's say, month time unit is month and duration is 6. So effective date here is 1st of April. So now if you see this period starts from 1st of April, so it would be executed on 1st of October after 6 months because the duration is 6 months. And any leave balances that exist at the time of expiry will be subtracted from the leave type and will be reflected in the leave balance. Now, once you do all this setup, you can create the leave and absence plan. So next we will go to a leave and absence plan. So to set up workers to enter absences, you must need to create a leave and absence plan. And leave and absence plan refers to a specific type of leave and absence and how employees accrue and use them. This can accrue at different frequencies such as annually, monthly, semi-monthly. So that depends how you are going to set it. You can also define a plan as a grant where a single accrual occurs on a specific date, and every plan is attached to a leave and absence type. You can also define leave accrual rates based on multiple leave types. You do have option to add the multiple leave types. In this example, in case of sick leave, you are going to establish that how many hours or days of leave workers are entitled and how often they accrue time for that particular plan. You can create a leave and absence plan by going leave and absence module, setup, and then leave and absence plan. From here, you can create a new leave and absence plan. It will open a dialog where you have to provide name, description, and then start date, like from when that plan will be effective. You also need to select the leave type. So select the proper leave type because it is going to trigger a workflow, um, and the workflow should be configured ahead when you going to set up this leave and absence plan. Then you have to select the accrual frequency, which could be daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or annually. This is like how often you are going to accrue them. And then you have option to select accrual period basis, where you can select plan start date or employee specific date. So if you select the employee specific date, then you will have to also add the date, which will be which you can see on this leave and absence plan stream. Now, when you have this leave and absence plan configured, you can also enroll the workers. So you have one button at the top where you can enroll the workers. For example, let's say you could create a leave and absence plan called floating holidays, in which enrolled workers can accrue 8 hours of floating holiday pay per year. So all eligible employees would be enrolled in this plan and they would be able to use that time when they enter time of request. We do have option to set up the accrual schedule and accrual policies that I'm going to explain in later slide, and we will have a short demo also how to schedule the accruals. We have another key setup, which is called working time calendar. So a working time calendar shows the days and hours that employees work in your organization. When an employee submits a time of request, they don't have to worry about holiday and closures. So this determines the hours and days that employees work in your organization. This is also used in holiday correction rules. So it is important that you set up this correctly. And we need to set up at least one working time calendar that shows the days and hours of operation. If you have locations in multiple countries and regions, you may want to set up working time calendar for each area. That depends how you are going to set up. So in order to streamline time of request, you need to configure working time calendar, holiday and closure, and non-working time for your organization. Let us quickly see in the application, how do we do that? So to create a working time calendar, you need to go to leave and absence module. You have a setup and then you have option calendars. You see there are calendars, holiday and closure, and non-work time. If you go to holiday and closure, I already have created one holiday and closure, and I have added some holidays here. Now you go and see non-work time. So here you can select the non-working time. Here I have already created one focus time. Now let us create a new calendar. So calendar FY 2022. you need to click on new calendar, provide the calendar, the short form and the name. And then click on create a new calendar, which will be creating this calendar with some defaulted values. Now you have to select the work days for your organization and enter the work times according to your organization. So here I'm selecting, let's say 9 a.m. to uh, 6 p.m. And then you see option here, holiday enclosure. So you can also create a new holiday enclosure from clicking on this plus button. But I have already created, so I'm going to select the already created one here. And then to add the non-work time, right now, if you go to under the days, you have option to select and generate the days for your calendar. So here you have to provide the date range, provide any date range for which you want to generate the days. When you click on generate days, it is going to create the days for all those date range selected. And also, if you see here, we have like weekdays as open, but the weekends are closed, right? And if you remember in the holiday enclosure, we had created Good Friday, which was 15th of April 22 as a holiday. So if you see here that day, Friday, 15th of April is holiday. So this is really important that you configure your holidays enclosure accurately in your holiday enclosure so that you have the days generated properly. And then we have work schedule. So you can select your work schedule, enter the time for each work schedule for your organization. You can then assign the workers to your working time calendar. So if you click on this, you can assign based on position, department, or reason. So I'm selecting here the position, full-time position employees, selecting all the workers to this for this particular position and assign this calendar. But you can do as your company works. If you see 82 workers are assigned to this particular calendar. So now you are all set for your working time calendar. And moving to next, we also have analytics to help to provide the insight into your organization leave and absence trends. If you see here, you have out of box uh, uh, available, out of box analytics tabs available. Like we have leave and absence overview, you have a current balance analysis, balance trend analysis, but you can create additional Power BI report based on your need, or you can modify if required. So, or you do have all these access, and this is very useful for the manager or who is looking into the trends. Moving to next agenda, we have leave and absence accruals, which is a key functionality for leave and absence. So here is the high-level process flow of leave and absence accruals. You can accrue leave and absence for a specific plan based on date range. For you can do that for all employees across all companies, or you can do that for a single employee as well. And also plan to use batch or periodic job, as it may take longer if you are running for, let's say, longer period or for all the employees for the organization. So try to use batch. And then we have delete accrual records. Similarly, it can be run on specific plan for a specific date range. But be mindful that only proper users should have access to delete, as this is for safety reason and should be running only if there was any change in rate or policy, or there was any wrong calculation. Due to that, we need to rerun the accrual process. So this is again can be done on for single employees or multiple employees for specific plan and date range. Again, you have option of leave accrual audit, which displays each time you run or delete an accrual. So basically, this is a full history with all the details like date, person, or who performed the action. You can view processed accruals by plan, employee, and date. Similarly, you can also see deleted accruals by plan, employee, and date. You do have option of leave accrual transaction auditing. This feature really helps leave and absence managers understanding the leave and absence accrual transactions related to an employee's time off balances for a specific leave type. So to view this information, you need to go to view time off. There you have a button or tab called balances. So you can view the transaction and then you can again drill down to see the detailed transaction. Now we will talk about accrual policies in a little detail. So accruals determine when and how often an employee is awarded time off. So this is really a key process as part of leave and absence management. And for a leave and absence plan, you define policies about when accruals should be awarded and policies about, let's say, prorating leave benefits. So here, if you see, you have a field called accrual frequency. This is like how often a leave is accrued or awarded. This is important as this is going to impact your accrual amount in accrual schedule. For example, if we select monthly, then the amount provided in accrual schedule will be accrued monthly. Or let's say if you select any other value, then it will be changed. You have accrual period basis. So again, you have option, you can select either plan start date or employee specific date. So if you select the employee specific date, then you would need to provide employee date, if there's one field called date. In case if you select plan start date, then you would need not to provide. Then when you have accrual award date, so this is when you will be awarding these to employees. So actual period end date or actual period start date, or when employee was hired. So in case of accrual period end date, employee will have to work till end of the month to get awarded. So you need to select based on how your organization's policy. You have two another fields, accrual policy on enrollment and enrollment. This is one of the important configuration you need to do. You can select prorated, full accrual, or no accrual. So if you select the prorated, assume I start in middle of the month, then 15 days will be prorated. But if you select full accrual, then you will get full accrual or no accrual if the month is not completed. Similarly, for unenrollment, when you are, let's say, quitting the company in the middle of month, then you have 15 days. So if you have selected prorated, then 15 days will be prorated and you will get that amount. If it is full accrual, then you will get full amount. If no accrual, then you will not get until the month is completed. In the next tab, you have accrual schedule, where you have to select accrual type. So uh, from the accrual type, you can select month of service or hours work. Note that you will only need to specify the type of hours in the type of hour drop down if the accrual selected was hours worked. So if it is month of service, you need not to select this particular value. Now let's go to the grid. If you see this grid, you can select the leave type. By default, leave type would be coming from the absence plan when you have selected the leave type. That particular leave type will be coming by default. And then you have to enter month of service. So here I have taken example as if you start the company, what would be the accrual amount, what would be the minimum balance, like how many days or hours employees should have as a minimum balance. If employees are allowed to borrow, then maximum borrows amount can be set up to negative. So you do have that option for borrow. You can set up. You enter the maximum. So this is like how many days or hours can be carried forward to another year or month. So here you have to set up maximum carry forward. You have option to enter the lump sum amount of leave to start with in grant amount. So in grant amount, you have add a lump sum amount if you would want to, and then you have use full-time equivalency. So for full-time employees, let's say you want to give full-time accruals. Let's say if it is half time, then it will be reduced to half. So you can select that option. Similarly, we can create another setup for let's say same leave type but different policies. For an example, let's say after a year, employee will get 3 days of leave instead of 2 days. So this means when you join, you will get this much amount, but when you pass, when you are there more than 2 years, then you will be getting different amount, or you will have a different policies. Like that, you can set up multiple policies based on your leave type. Now let's quickly see that how we can set up the accruals. So for better understanding, let us create a new absence plan. So you need to go to leave and absence module and then set up leave and absence plan. And then you can create a new absence plan here. Provide name description in this dialog based on your plan. Yeah, and then you have a couple of more required fields. So start date, when this plan should get affected. So you need to provide the start date and then accrual frequency, whether it should be daily, monthly, or annually. I'm selecting monthly in this case. And then what would be the accrual period basis? So you can select plan start date or employer specific date. I'm just selecting plan start date. And then leave type. This is important. Which leave type should be attached because it is going to trigger a workflow, and there are some accrual policies already set up here on this leave type. Now when you create this, you have the values defaulted here in accrual fast tab. However, you can change some of the values like start date or let's say accrual award date, accrual policy. Let's say if you want to change prorated to full or no accrual, so you can do here as well. right? And then in the next screen, you have accrual schedule fast tab. So here you need to select the accrual type. It could be month of service or hours swapped. I'm selecting month of service here. Now, in this grid, I'm configuring the leave type vacation, which is defaulted. And let's assume if the month of service is 0, so accrual amount would be 2, minimum balance 1 day, and you can carry forward maximum 1 day in this case. Unit is defaulting from selected leave type. It can be days or hours, but you cannot change it here. And then you can use full-time equivalency if it is applicable for your organization. You can add more rules like for this particular vacation leave type, if month of service is more than 24 month or 2 years, then accrual amount would be 3 days and minimum balance should be 2 days, right? And you can let's say carry forward maximum 2 days in this case. So this is just example you can create based on your organization policies. You can create multiple policies here. And then you can assign this plan to the employees. Now you are all set. You have the absence plans ready and you have the accrual policies ready. Here, we will briefly explain about the accrual policies and the related setup. So in an organization, an employee may join or leave mid of the period. Therefore, you need different policies to cover those policies, right? So you would need to set up the accrual policies on absence plan, select the proper value, like you can set up prorated, full accrual, or no accrual. So as I mentioned, if it is prorated, the date range between the enrollment date and the start date is used to determine the difference in days. And that difference is applied when accruals are processed. I will be showing one example in next slide. Or you can select full accrual. So if it is full accrual, it is going to be awarded during the first accrual processing. If it is no accrual is awarded until the next accrual period. Let's see an example of proration calculation. So assume for an organization, we have annual frequency as annual. The accrual period is 1st of Jan to 31st December. This means there are total number of days 364 and then accrual amount is 25 days. So this is the setup. Now we have an employee, Gemma, joining on 15th of June. So if we calculate the number of days between 15th of June to 31st December, it's coming to like 199 days. And if we calculate the proration, in this case, it would be 199 divided by 364 days and into the into accrual amount, which is 25 in this case. So it is coming 13.66 days. And it is going to be rounded off based on the applied configuration in leave type. So it will be rounded off. Similar calculation for John, who started on 1st of August. So there will be same calculation. And in this case, he will get around 10.5 days similar like after rounding off. So you can set up the policies based on your need. Here is one of the example of accrual processing. In this example, accrual period is 1st of Jan to 31st Jan. If you run the accrual process on 1st of Feb, then Jan month accrual will be included in the balance. However, if you run it before 1st of Feb, like on 31st Jan or before the 31st Jan, the Jan month accrual is not going to be included. So you need to consider that when you are going to run the accrual process, and based on that, the accrual amount will be included in your leave. Now let's switch gear and review the do's and don'ts for the leave and management feature. And we have checklist also, which checklist and resources which you can use when you are implementing leave and absence. So here are some do's and don'ts. For an example, you must need to review all the features which are required to be enabled, because there are some features if those are enabled cannot be disabled, or you cannot enable if there are already transactions. So you need to be mindful of that. Configure your working time calendar, holiday inclusion, non-working time to streamline your time of request. Use Power Automate wherever applicable, and then use the managed solution for if you have any Dataverse extension. Coming to don'ts, you do not modify the leave unit of a leave and absence type. If there are leave transactions for that particular leave type, it is not allowed. And then do not use unmanaged solution for your Dataverse extension. So these are some few of the points, but there are many more, and you need to consider based on your implementation. Here are some of the resources and checklists. In this slide, we have mentioned some of the important leave and absence concepts, which you would be using more frequently when you are using leave and absence management. So these are some of the major ones, but there are many, but just have a look if you want to understand. And then you can find some good number of resources and checklists here for your leave and absence configuration, which you need to configure in order to start using leave and absence. Similarly, here is the resources and checklist for using or for managing the leave and absence. So you need to be aware and consider these processes in order to start managing and using the leave and absence. Again, these are the major ones, but there are more, and you can check the docs link, and you would find all the details there. Now, if interested, you can try human resource today. Here are the required links, and you would find all the details in all these links. This is the last slide for today, and now we are open up for the questions. Adeel, if you have noted down the questions which were asked in background, we can, if there was something unanswered or we need to discuss, we can discuss.
Yeah, thank you, Priyanka. We actually received a number of questions, and a lot of them have been answered, actually almost all of them. So thank you, Rachel and Tulsi, as well, for taking up those questions. Just one which I just noticed is not answered. It's the the question is there any way on the calendar to be set the first day of the week to be a specific day? I don't think at this point in time this is available, but we will confirm this and let you know. But however, please submit this as an idea that we have shared the link as well. So all these ideas help us improve the application. Yeah, but one more thing was an important one, which was a point or a comment made by Rachel in the beginning, that this the demo as well as the slides that you have shared, Priyanka, they are all based on the preview version, which is 10.0.26. So you may only see them in the upcoming version, or the version which is in preview right now, which is 10.0.26. And not the GA version. Yep. Is there any other question? I see Anyone would like to take this one? Will the planned leaves impact capacity for the resource? Specifically project production and universal resource scheduler. Yeah, Rachel?
Do you want me to take that?
Yeah.
Sure. It's a great question. It's a question that we get quite a lot, and we've been getting a lot more recently since we're getting closer to the merged infrastructure. At this time, we don't have a very tight integration between the leave and absence functionality and the project operations resource scheduling that is available in the Dataverse. Once you're in that finance and operations infrastructure, you would certainly be able to look to use a dual write integration that you'd have to create on your own, or virtual entities, or, some other type of integration between the two applications to achieve your specific needs. It is something that the project operations team is looking at, along with the human resources team. There's nothing specific on our roadmap right now to put a more standard integration, but it is something that's being evaluated, and you might see in the future. We would encourage you to kind of create ideas out on the ideas site with your specific requests and ideas, and solicit votes for those, so that as we kind of approach this topic, we can try to focus on the things that are most important to our customers.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, we still have a couple of minutes, so but I don't see any other new questions. Is there any other comment, anything that we like to?
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly just review some of these questions and talk about them in a little bit more detail. There were quite a few kind of very specific scenarios. Another question that was asked is around the functionality connected on any level with the worker's flex balance and flex calculations corrections in general. Many of our customers utilize flex banks, and employees frequently use up their bank hours for different absences. So I kind of drew an assumption when I answered this question, but feel free to kind of type in another response or another question if the answer here isn't clear enough. I think that what is being referred to here is the time and attendance functionality that's available in Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management. So when you're on the worker record, there's a button that you can click on the time tab called Configure a Worker for Time Registration. And on that page, there is a checkbox you can select to allow flex time, and then you assign a flex group ID, which that flex group ID has the rules to identify how much flex time you're using. So at this time, we don't have any tight integration between the leave and absence module and the time and attendance module. In fact, this kind of goes back to the last question that I was talking about. It is something that our teams are looking at between project operations and human resources and the supply chain management team. We have like 3 different versions of time and attendance and timesheet and leave and absence functionality, and none of them really are designed to work together out of the box. So we are evaluating kind of what our go forward approach is going to be. You'll likely find things in our roadmap. There's nothing specific right at this time, but it is something that we're looking at to figure out like how we create a time and attendance and leave and absence functionality across the different products that works for all the different scenarios and situations that you have. But do keep in mind that now that we are on the finance and operations infrastructure, and you've got that ability to create extensions using X++, you can certainly look to extend your solution to meet those specific business requirements, or look to ISV providers that are built on the finance and operations infrastructure that might meet those requirements you've got a lot more flexibility to customize the solution to meet those specific requirements. So hopefully that answers the question, but if not, feel free to submit another one and we'll try to clarify and answer again. Did we have another new one come in? Did I see?
Yeah, we have a question around overtime hours. Is there a possibility to handle overtime hours and balance these with future absences? So I'll take a first stab at this, Rachel, and you can elaborate if necessary. But that's a great question. You do have the ability to use hours worked functionality on leave plans as part of your configuration instead of years of service. The actual data for the hours would be in your time and attendance, and that you can import and use that in conjunction with your configuration to achieve this.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It doesn't look like we have any new questions. We have tried to answer all of the questions that have come in throughout. Obviously we still have 2 more sessions in this series. We do invite you to join those when we'll be talking about benefits and compensation management in the next 2 parts. I think compensation is first and then benefits is the last session. So if you're not registered, we do encourage you to do that. But I think otherwise, we are going to hand it back over to David to wrap us up today. Thank you, everyone.
One last thing that I want to mention as well. We've got great questions. So thank you, everybody, for participating and giving us the opportunity to look at some of these scenarios. One of the things I would encourage is for if you have specific questions for specific scenarios to your organization that we haven't thought about, we encourage you to create support tickets. That way we can also look at this systematically and document that. And then, of course, if there are things that we recommend adding on idea side, that also helps us plan our future roadmap functionalities. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tulsi. Thank you, team. I've posted a link to a short survey in the Q&A panel, and we'd like your feedback on today's session and hear what you'd like to see in future events. Thank you for your participation. As a reminder, the recording of today's session will be available on the TechTalk's Community Dynamics page within 5 business days. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenters and our audience for joining us today.